What would you do if you saw someone that tried to kill you years ago? This man tried to kill a young boy many years ago, and the reason will really make you shocked.
Zachariah, he was a nice person. He was a decent person. He was very smart. He was the only Christian in the whole of the school. And I hated him. Because I thought as a Muslim, I must be better than him. But he was better than I. We start to beat him every single day that we come to school. And we agreed on that night, we need to kill him. It was dark, it was cold, and we went ahead of him. And we were 5 of us. We climbed a tree and we waited there. And from far away, we saw that a torch coming. And the light became bigger and bigger as it approaches us. And the minute that he just went under the tree, we jumped at him. He was crying, he was screaming, he was shouting. We broke his arm, we broke his leg. He started to bleed. And because he started to scream and begging for help, I put my hand in his mouth so that no noise will come out of him. Similar when you are slaughtering a sheep, it's just shivering, and the others were beating him. I felt very proud. You were actually doing something for Allah. You want to please him. And suddenly, he could no longer breathe, and we could not hear his voice. We left him in the wood between life and death. We went back, you wash yourself, and you pray. And Zechariah never came back.
The funniest thing is that he had no remorse. All he thought about was that he was fighting a good fight of faith. And so he tried to kill this young boy in the middle of the night, but something drastic happened.
My cousin was severely sick, and the doctors, they said he's going to die. They gave him only a couple of days. And one day came 2 people. They were Coptic Christians. And one of them wanted to greet me. And then I saw he had a cross. And then I pulled my hand back. I said, well, I'm not going to touch a hand with a cross. And then he said to me, we hear that this child is sick. We would like to pray for him. And only out of politeness, I told them, okay. And they started to speak to God like a person that he speaks to his friend. They said, God, please heal this child. The minute that they said, Amen, this child opened his eyes for the first time in 4 weeks. He started to move his hands. He started to speak. He sat down in his bed and he started to walk. And one of those 2 persons who prayed sat down with me and he said to me, you know what? The real miracle is that God wants to change your heart. Do you believe that Yeshua is alive? And I told him, yeah. Because according to the Islamic tradition, God took him to heaven and he's alive and he will come back one day. And he said to me, because he's alive, you can speak to him.
He started reading scriptures, he started learning about God, read about Jesus Christ. His family rejected him.
They made a funeral. They invited friends and family. They brought a coffin to the cemetery and they said, our son is dead.
He moved on with his life years later and he decided to attend a conference, and the strangest thing happened. In fact, there is no way you will not know this was God.
And one of the Sudanese pastors came to me. It's an elderly man, gray hair. He started to speak to me and he asked me, where did you come from? I told him my story. He started to cry. And then I asked him, why are you crying? And he said to me, do you remember me? My name is Zachariah. And suddenly, I remembered him. The last time I saw him, it was in that dark night. I could hear suddenly the way that he was screaming, even though that was 25 years. Suddenly I started to see his broken arm and broken legs. I started to see the scars which I caused him. I started to be full of shame. He opened his Bible, and the minute he opened his Bible, I saw that my name was written in the first page. I hated him. He prayed for me. On that day, God confronted me. He said to me, even before you start to think about me, I was thinking about you. To love those who hate you, you need someone whose name is Yeshua.
So when scripture says pray for your enemies, God knows what he is talking about. No wonder Matthew 5:44 says, but I say unto you, love your enemies, bless those that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them, those that despisefully use you and persecute you. I know it can be difficult, but God will help.